Mic check, mic check. Kachoya! How we doing? How we doing? Good morning. Previously on Kimba TV. So you know we have this, right? You know we had this? Yeah? You know it already happened? It's a Kachoya, boy! It's a Kachoya, boy! Are you ready? Selakosti says, I have a 7.5 short right now. Awesome. What do you need? You need to get below the 0.5, right? And you would really want to clean all this shit. So losing, something like this would be fucking amazing. Yeah. But the thing that would hurt you the most if you're in a 7.5 short is the golden pocket holding a support, right? We're basically just going to see value area high, not value area ho. Get that retest. We called it the North Korean launch pad for a reason. So you guys know what my sort of bias is, right? But yeah, let's get it. 23 minutes today left on the first 30-minute candle close. Any questions? You guys okay? Kimba, what? Oh, stop the music. Stop the music. What do you mean? What's the plan? Were you able to watch the last 30? How many of you guys were here for the last 30 minutes of yesterday's stream? It was kind of juicy. Shout outs to Omar for asking amazing questions, but the last 30 minutes was real juicy, I think. Even before, not me. Okay. So always get caught up, Rubberneck. You could have known the plan like 12 hours ago, okay? But we called this, we drew this North Korean launch pad pretty early yesterday, okay? So if you wanted to long, this is the sort of RTH dip the tip, where this is your open. And if you can actually hold this low, if it goes out like this, that's your entry, that's your stop loss. But we called it the North Korean launch pad for a reason. Yeah, so I mean, if you wanted a long, this is your value area high, bullish retest, the North Korean launch pad, bullish retest. So for me, I'm going to wait until if it actually can get back above open. But you know what it is. And so if it fails, then we're going to rotate back down here. If this holds, the only other sort of short would be a swing fail of yesterday's high. So if it comes back inside, you got rotation to the value area high. You got that. Otherwise, you have a long opportunity right there if you wanted to do it. So you have to kind of start with your own bias first. Are you somebody that is looking to long? If so, you've got the North Korean launch pad. So, okay. I forget who was asking that question, but did that help? All right, you guys ready? Yeah, so if you were looking to long, then, today's your sort of RTH dip the play, and you had the value area high and the North Korean launch pad. Scalp long, that's your level. The next one may be value area low, but at that point, I would be looking for lower anyways at like 70. So first things first, does the 30-minute candle actually open and snap back above? So you good, So Guru? Burbeezy, you good? Ghost BTC says, Kachoy. I'm sore. What's going on? Baby Kachoy. Marchenik, what's going on? Stiga says, waiting on SMP. SMP. SMP can have its own like snap, dip the tip and let it rip. So 15 more minutes, ladies and gentlemen. Kachoya! Let's go. It's Tuesday Juice. How we doing, Lions? Quit playing with me. Unless it's Warzone. Atkins says, much better prepared than yesterday. Feels great. Fuck yeah, dude. Hey, and keep that momentum going for Thursday's CPI. Yeah? Atkin, any questions for today's plans, today's levels? Hustler says the math is the math. Hustler, hands up if you were here all day yesterday, and especially maybe towards the last 20, 30 minutes where we broke it down for Omar and the people that had last minute questions. Shout outs if you were here. I mean, I don't know when we put the North Korean launch pad line, but it was pretty early in the day, wasn't it? And what do you guys think about being patient and waiting until RTH and letting RTH decide if it was going to do a bullish retest or not? You guys heard what my sort of suspicions were in regards to the North Korean launch pad, right? I didn't think it was going to hold. So here we are. We're going to see what the reaction is going to be like at value area low and settlement, obviously. 11 minutes on the 30-minute candle close. So if the bulls want to, salvage this in the next 11 minutes, the 30-minute candle close will close outside of value area high, right? So nobody get got. Okay, lock in. Omar says Kimba on UNC status, right? Hey, Omar, what do you think about all this? So obviously, like the overnight ETH stuff is obvious, just overnight ETH. It's just a mess, right? But wait for RTH. RTH opens up. We had levels identified to the bottom side and to the top side, right? So just in case they wanted to do another swing fail, right? Omar says, I'm glad I asked those questions. Yes, sir. It's just about being prepared, right? I mean, I don't know if you know this, Omar, because I know you got here a little bit late yesterday, but you know that I drew this like hella early yesterday, and I was like, dude, beep, beep.
One thing my trainer, he told me, he said, what did he say? He just told us to be prepared.
You guys have been around long enough to know that if you get into value, you're going to rotate too. So, yeah, not too shabby, huh? Six-figure juice, easy. All right, so everything prepared and talked about days in advance. What do you guys think, huh? Mathematicas? Dick Flex says, would you consider longing settlement as a scalp? No. We talked about it yesterday, but I would expect lower. So let's see. I wouldn't, but Dick Flex, if you see a hidden CVD bull div and you see a little bit of bottom shorting happening, why the fuck not? Because you always have enough edge to buy yourself enough room. Maybe you get a 7505 rotation. That's what I would be thinking, because you had 75786 bearish retest right now, right there. So I would be looking for the 75786. So, I mean, yeah, I think it does something like, to be honest, Flexi, dude, I think I'm going to end up taking the long either tomorrow or Thursday. The settlement being lower than yesterday's settlement will be a really big giveaway on when I'm going to be able to long. So first things first, brother. Did the North Korean launch pad hold? No. So we're below value area high, right? So what's the next level of interest that we got to pay attention to? The value area low and settlement. So let's see what the reaction is. I don't think I'm going to take a long, but you're more than welcome to, though, Flexi. All right, let's do it together. I'm down to take it too, but I don't think it's going to be a good reaction. So Chalub, you good? Shaner says, hey, Kimba, good morning. Just wanted to ask that were there any plays to be taken today? Yeah. Anytime you show up late to a stream, brother, go to the YouTube and rewatch the whole thing. So, and you need to be watching the highlights from yesterday, bro. Dude, we North Korean launch pad, bro. Chat, this guy's not even going to believe me, chat. Chat, hey, Shane, if I were to tell you that I said it was going to do this, would you believe me? And I said it yesterday. Oh boy. No, you didn't. No, you didn't. No way you could do that.
You just said.
Yeah. Sorry to burst your bubble, brother. But we talked about this shit yesterday. This isn't really, brother. This isn't about like what's my play. It's not my play, brother. These are all things that we've seen thousands of times together. And all I'm doing is just reminding all of us what the higher probability play is. Okay? If my dumb ass can do it, I'm smoking weed 6 o'clock in the morning. Okay? I wake up, I look at shit, and I'm just going off of what we've all seen together happen as the high probability play. I don't think it's that hard, brother. I don't think it's that hard. You got to get caught up and stay up to date. And not only do you need to stay up to date, but you need to actually start comprehending this shit so you can do this shit on your own. Shane. So not to put you on the spot, I'm not even really talking to you individually. I'm talking to like anybody just with that kind of unpreparedness. But you know we have CPI on Thursday. I really need you to lock in, Shane. Let's make this money, man. You're leaving money on the table. All you need to do is just watch the highlights. But we've been talking about, I don't think the North Korean launch pad is going to actually have a successful ICBM launch since almost like 20 hours ago. We drew this yellow line, and I said that it wasn't going to hold on the bullish retest like middle of the day yesterday. And you know, like and the thing is, brother, is you might hear me talk about shorting, you know, value area high, but you know, there's lions that are ready to long settlement and value area low. And maybe you're going to end up shorting down there, and people are going to long and juice. So you got to get caught up. Okay. But the most important thing for me is, like, I'm not here to, you know, toot my horn and be like, look at me. You know, I'm going to do me. You got to do you. But a lot of this stuff is just basic, simple memory recall. So, all right, Shane. So, Shane, if you have the time to, brother, definitely rewind and get caught up. Okay? But as of right now, what we're looking at is basically like a failed auction above the North Korean launch pad. We're seeing the full rotate, the rotation between value. So value area high, value area low. So some people are thinking about longing here. Me personally, I'm not. But you, as somebody that's unprepared, you have no business listening to what I'm saying, okay? Everything that I say should be a supplement to your own preparation and TA. Okay? I'm still looking for lower, and I'm playing a higher time frame, a medium time frame, and the day-to-day smaller time frame, all synergistically. So even though I might be talking about, hey, man, like I'm bearish for today, you need to understand and be caught up and, you know, like understand that I'm looking for longs on the higher time frame. Okay? Mr. Riyadh says the big problem is setting the stop loss and risk management. Brother, I literally said that this morning as well. Brother, I said, yeah, the entry for the short is easy, but what's your invalidation? And then I said, this is kind of a shitty like trade. But that's your invalidation. And that's your TP1. That's your TP2. And then obviously TP3 can be much lower, right? But you're goddamn right. That's the hardest part. You're goddamn right, dude. No, I'm right there with you, Riyadh. I agree with you, brother. The hardest part is the stop loss and risk management, 100%. Could this do a bearish retest like this? Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. You know? Oh, but Kimba, you said short. Fuck. That's why I just warned homie about fucking Marcus shorting the value area low. Don't do that. But you just said no. I... Catchay. But yeah, Shane. So yeah, there's always trades, brother. And Shane, by the way, I'm not here to predict the future. Even though the higher probability is to break back through, if it had held and if it had gotten back above the open, I would have market smashed long. That would have been my stop loss. And that's not like, oh, how does Kimba trade? No, that's basic fucking 5th grade, like by the book, basic strategy. So that's not like what do you mean you're in a long? I thought you said. So there was a scalp long and there was a scalp short. And you always want to have preparations for both so you don't get too caught up in your own bias. All right. Love you, big dog. Let me know if you have any questions. All right, Shane, I really, really want you to juice this week, especially on Thursday. So let's start to get prepared and lock in. All right. Faith says S&P poo-poo. Yeah, doesn't, I mean, I'm not, it's low volume. Unforgiven says, would you take the bearish retest though? No, I mean, I don't need to. But because why? I'm already in. So Unforgiven, you've been here long enough, right? You should have already been thinking about, as the level was being lost, you should have already been thinking about, do I want to market smash and post only limit short at value area high? Or do I want to get filled and wait for a bearish retest? So you already had to have made that decision before. So I would not. Now, would it be fair to say, Unforgiven, that the last couple longs and shorts, I have not been waiting for bullish or bearish retests? And as a matter of fact, I've gotten stopped out in tiny profit on the bearish retest, while others have gotten filled and they ended up taking losses. Have you noticed that the last couple weeks? So you have to kind of make a decision on if you want to wait for that bearish retest or bullish retest, or if you rather take the initial move and just box in your trade. But I don't know if you've noticed, but a lot of people have been trying to take the bearish retest or the bullish retest after I was already in. I've been getting stopped out in tiny profit and break even. Well, some people have been taking losses doing that. So, I would not, but I already made up my mind. But obviously, Unforgiven, I've been talking about the North Korean launch pad not holding since yesterday. So, unless you were as bearish as I was, I don't know if you're market smashing. Would that be all fair to say? So it would have been different if it was changing structure and or certain levels were able to hold, but it clearly could not. Dip the tip would have been the best way to start off RTH if it really was going to be bullish. So in an alternate universe, we could have been in the long if it wanted to go, and we know exactly what the entry would have been, right? It would have been the open. And the stop loss would have been the lower low. So if it wanted to pump and go, we were ready for it. But also the higher probability failed missile launch. We were ready for that as well. So not too shabby. All right. It would have been nice if we had been able to keep our short from yesterday. But at the same time, we knew how to re-enter it and how to be patient and disciplined with it. So not too bad. Preparation, plan, we Gucci. Everybody good to go on the levels to the downside and levels to the upside. All right, it's power hour right now. 43 more minutes. So, Fred, you like the glasses? Tis two, you good? Chris says, show us again, please. Show you what? Here we go now. Here we go now. It's gonna be done. It's gonna be toast now. It's gonna be tasty. It's gonna be tasty. When I juice, y'all juice, all right? Let's get this shmoney, Lions. Y'all ready? I haven't touched those limit TPs in so long. Yeah. All right, y'all, let's lock in 15 more minutes, and then I got to start the outro music, and I'm out of here, man. I love you guys. Any questions? Any last-minute questions? You guys okay? What a day, huh? What do you think? What y'all motherfuckers think about today, huh? And do you guys see like how the days kind of work together? They piece together. They work synergistically. So not too crazy, huh? And the high leverage, the crazy big position, that's the shit that usually fucks you up, right? We knew what it was. Let's pump on Monday. Let's keep resuming the natural order, the natural direction, which is still down. Why down? Because the lows don't look finished, right? And it's also like higher time frame stuff because I'm okay with it bouncing on the 0.5. That's what that was, but I think there's going to be, even if there is a bounce, one more dip, some trident pattern, and then pop. And this is on weekly, by the way, so it could take weeks and months. But, everything kind of lining up. We're going with higher probability plays, And so I tried to take 2 shorts yesterday. We did it live together. I got stopped out, round tripped on both, right? So by the end of the day, I got stopped out twice on the short attempt. Not that big of a deal. I didn't lose any money. And then today when we broke open on RTH, we knew, even before today, we knew about Kim Jong-un's launch attempt. It did indeed fail. We saw the value rotation from value area high to value area low. Even the bearish retest of value area low, and it has now made a lower low. So structure, everything looking good. VWAP is high up there, so I don't think you would want it to like revert all the way back up. Plus, that's also inside of value, so that would be bullish. You wouldn't be looking for like a bearish retest of VWAP at this point, unless this shit is like all the way down here. So, swing fail, partial gap fill, obviously RTH, ES, and I've been talking about these funky lows getting swept for quite some time as well. So, not too shabby. It's not about being in a short or a long. It's about not getting got. Right? So I'm pretty satisfied with my own preparation and my levels, and I'm continue to keep my head on a swivel and try to not get got and get ready for Thursday CPI. I hope you guys are feeling similar. All right. So you guys okay? Bugsy says juicy day. Mandel says amazing as usual for sure. Moses, why you're so awesome? It's not me that's awesome, brother. It's the math. It's the probabilities, I think. Yeah. And like really, I think there's so many things that you could have extracted value from in the last 48 hours, whether it was like the mathematical stuff and the academic work, or even just understanding like Moses, if I was like Warren Buffett and if I had just sold spot, right? I wouldn't have, there is no like getting round tripped, right? And then everything would have been Gucci, and I can buy back on spot if I want to at 68 or 65 or all that shit, right? But it's the high leverage, it's the margin, that's why like we have to really be aggressive with risk management, and we more than often get round tripped. And so, that's why I always say shit like the highest probable outcome is that you get round tripped. And so you better have a plan B, plan C on how you would re-enter, what would invalidate, all that good stuff. Obviously, if the RTH dipped the tip, the first 30 minute, it had dipped down and then it had gotten back up above open, I would have market smashed long on that hoe, and that lower low would have been the stop loss, right? So even though I had my sort of biases, I still prepared and I was ready just in case we needed to take that long, right? So prepared, and we'll get lucky sometimes, and the short ends up working out. Sometimes we're going to be wrong, but that doesn't mean that we can't take that long when we realize an RTH, bullish dip the tip play. So every day we have an opportunity. I'm excited for tomorrow. I'm going to show up early tomorrow. What about you, Johnny Wonka? You going to be here early tomorrow or what? What about you, Edo Droid? What about you, Fibception? What a day, XCOG. Yep. But, today is an extension of yesterday, which is an extension of last week, which is an extension of last month. And that's why you got to have the higher time frame, the medium time frame, the day-to-day, Yeah, and sometimes we're going to have days like yesterday. Sometimes we're going to have days like today. Today was the complete opposite of yesterday. It was pixel perfect, even down to shit like, I don't think you want to wait for a bearish retest, etc., etc., I forget who that was that we were talking about for that, but you can kind of see all this, and I think that's something that you definitely want to think about on Thursday. I don't know if you want to be waiting for a bullish retest or a bearish retest. I think you need to make up your mind on market smashing, and a lot of people, especially like Lion Cubs, you're told not to market smash. And so I understand the negative connotation that surrounds it. But if you're prepared to market smash, then it's okay. Or do post only limit orders, The market smashing that we're talking about is that FOMO, the giving into the FOMO. So Toddler says, why so early, man? I was having fun. Well, the U.S. markets are going to close. And so if you remember earlier in the day, we just talked about how, once RTH is kind of settled down, you may, once in a while miss out like a really nice long or really nice short entry. But for the most part, it's not anything that you need to be too concerned about. So I think that we're still just going to continue to go down. I just said that getting back into value and going back into VWAP would be a little bit more bullish than bearish. So I don't know about like shorting like a bearish retest of VWAP. I would love for this to continue to just melt. I think the more confusing trade would be to try to take a long on ETH when it does a partial gap fill on RTH. Does that make sense? RTH is going to be paused in 20 minutes. So if ETH goes down and it breaches the 74,000 and it does a partial gap fill, fucking throw in a gap for Macaulay too to really confuse motherfuckers. But I think that's a bigger question mark and something that would be worthy of thinking about than like a bearish retest of VWAP. So I think it's one of those things where like you don't want to be sitting here seeing the price dumping, really craving to get into a short and then, get got. So, all righty. Any questions, Stiga? What's going on, Unforgiven? But yeah, Toddler, I'm going to show up early tomorrow. Obviously, on Thursday, we got CPI, which is going to be an hour before U.S. market opens. So tomorrow is dress rehearsal, man. It's practice. So it's pretend CPI day. So I want to go to bed early. I want to show up, and I want to work on some of these things. So do you have any questions, though? I don't think you really need me, brother. Long study night for me? Nice. Maybe Band-Aid says, don't jinx us, Kimba, about Macaulay. I'd rather jinx you and you seriously think about it than you take it as a joke and not think about it and then actually get got. Fuck! Yeah, so do you want me to repeat that? It's almost like a tongue twister, right? But it's a mental tongue twister. So RTH settles above or inside of this box, okay? ETH goes down and breaches 74. Macaulay pauses it and then creates a gap. And then when Macaulay's parents come back, you have a bullish or a bearish ETH gap. So if that were to happen, is the long the right one or the short the right one? And then what are you looking for, a bearish retest or a bullish retest for RTH? Obviously, I'll give you a hint. You go with the value build until proven otherwise. So you take the bearish retest, but you also need to have a pivot point and understand above here is bullish. So just like how I did it today. If we were going to have a dip the tip, the open would have been the entry. The lower low is the invalidation on the long, right? The short is the value area high entry. The stop loss would be the higher high, just like how we drew it. So Drax says, can you draw it? It's kind of mind-blowing. Well, I can't draw a gap, but so let's say in here, I will kick it until settlement is paused. So let's say that settlement is here. Okay? So settlement is here. ETH dumps after the 10-minute settlement window. Okay? So now RTH-wise, you're going to have a gap. Okay? But ETH dumps. So ETH dumps. Macaulay. So CME is paused. Macaulay dumps, and then it rips. So now you've got an ETH gap inside of an RTH gap. I'll stay for the next 20 minutes so we can at least see where the settlement will be roughly be. You know, obviously we need to check the CME website tomorrow morning and adjust the exact, but I can show you, we can all see where the settlement lines up. So, and then obviously, like you can see how value is building lower. So it's a bearish retest that you want to look for, okay? Or a bearish edge that you want to look for. But you need to have a threshold and say above here is bullish. Just like how we did it today. And if that's mind-blowing to you, remember, these things happen all the time. It is not the first time in the history of crypto that we've had a gap inside of a gap. So try to do your best to like remember these moments and take notes if you need to. And we'll see how it plays out tomorrow. That's why, like, instead of sitting here and you guys just watch me play Call of Duty, I think it's better to wrap it up. All right, you got to believe in the math. You got to believe in your preparation. And most importantly, make sure you believe in yourself. You guys ready for Wednesday tomorrow? I'll be here hella early. All right, exclamation enter. It's still not too late to win the black mug. He reaving young soon. Sato, tell them what happens if they don't use stop loss.